The mountain troll, the creature that lives inside you. There is a creature in the Scandinavian mountains that doesn't chase you through the forest. She doesn't leap out of the shadows. She doesn't need to, because the mountain troll doesn't hunt you. It calls you. And when you hear that call, that hoarse voice coming from the stone, that whisper that comes from within your own mind, it's already too late. You are being bergtagen, carried away by the mountain, pulled into the rock, into himself. But here's the secret no one told you. This 1,000-year-old legend isn't about a monster out there. It's about the monster you hide inside yourself. That cold, rocky piece at the bottom of your chest. That part of you that is hardened, that is petrified, that you're afraid to touch. In the next 20 minutes, you will discover, why do trolls turn to stone when touched by sunlight? And what does this reveal about their own minds? What does it mean to be taken by the mountain? And why have you been there? Because the troll cross protects not against external monsters, but against the rigidity of your own soul. And at minute 15, I'll reveal the stone feast, the psychological ritual that every troll and every human being needs to go through to finally be free. Do you think you know this legend? You know nothing. The true story of the mountain troll has never been told, until now. Because this is not a story about Scandinavian folklore. It's about you, about me, about all of us who one day heard the call of the stone and decided to stop feeling. Are you ready to climb the mountain? So take a deep breath, because where we're going, there's no turning back. The mountain that breathes the forgotten origin. Norse legends speak of creatures called bergsro, the mountain trolls. They are not the little trolls from children's stories. These aren't the silly trolls that appear in movies. These are different. These are gigantic, primordial, indestructible. According to the oldest records from Scandinavia, the mountain troll does not live in the mountains. He is the mountain, skin made of stone, granite bones, blood like slow, heavy magma that never stops flowing. Every rocky valley, every cliff that rises against the gray sky, every dark cave that breathes icy air, all of this is the troll's body. And you've felt that before, haven't you? That feeling of being near a mountain and realizing that it is watching. That's what she's waiting for, that she has a will of her own. The Vikings knew this. That's why they never built houses in certain places. That's why they avoided certain trails at nightfall. That is why they left offerings of porridge and milk at the entrance of the caves. It wasn't superstition. It was out of respect. Respect for something much older than the gods. Something that was there before Odin, before Thor, before creation itself. The troll is the archetype of primal brute force, that which exists before consciousness, before language, before civilization, and inside you, he still lives. The look that no one forgets. In 17th century records, storytellers describe the troll as a creature with wide eyes, a broad and prominent nose, and a body covered in thick fur. But there was something worse than physical appearance. It was the look in his eyes. Because when you looked into the eyes of a troll, you saw absence. There was no empathy. There was no compassion. There was no humanity. There was only hunger. Not a hunger for meat, although that too, but a hunger for solitude fulfilled. A hunger to remain unseen. A hunger to never be touched by the light. Because trolls have a fatal weakness. Sunlight turns them to stone. Have you ever stopped to think about what that means? Light, the universal symbol of consciousness, truth, and awakening, is precisely what paralyzes the troll. It's as if the creature only exists while it's unseen, only until she is named, only while it remains in the shadows of the unconscious. And you? How many parts of you only exist because they have never been illuminated? How many impulses, desires, fears, and angers do you keep hidden because you're afraid that if someone, or you yourself, sees them in the light of day, they will petrify, they will die, you will lose control, you will be exposed. That's what trolls are afraid of, and that's your fear too. Superhuman strength, limited intelligence. One of the most striking characteristics of Nordic trolls is their immense strength. They uproot centuries-old trees with one hand. They crush rocks as if they were biscuits. They defeat humans, and even some minor gods in physical combat. But there's a catch. They are stupid. Legends are full of stories of cunning humans easily outsmarting trolls. In the famous tale retold by J.R.R. Tolkien in The Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins manages to distract 3 trolls with conversation and tricks until dawn, the moment when the sunlight turns them to stone. The troll has power, but no wisdom, and this is crucial to understanding its psychological nature. In Carl Jung's analytical psychology, the shadow is the unconscious part of the personality that contains everything the ego considers unacceptable: primitive instincts, shameful desires, aggressive impulses. The shadow is powerful because it is pure, raw psychic energy, but she is disorganized, unrefined, and lacks strategy. Exactly like a troll, when you suppress your anger for years, it doesn't go away. She becomes a troll inside you. Strong, but destructive, present, but hidden. When you deny your sexual desires, your hunger for power, your envy, your fear, all of that accumulates in the inner mountains of your psyche. And one day, you hear the call of the stone. Come. The voice does not come from outside. It comes from within, from a deep, rocky place where light never reached. Come to the mountain. In Scandinavian folklore, the phenomenon is called bergtagen, literally carried away by the mountain. People were disappearing. They would go into the mountains and never come back, or they would return, but changed, silent, with glazed eyes, as if a part of them had been left behind. Have you ever been to bergtagen? Perhaps you haven't physically entered a mountain, but have you ever felt that irresistible urge to isolate yourself, to cut off contact with everyone, to disappear from one's own life? Have you ever felt the urge to harden so much inside that nothing could hurt you anymore? To turn to stone so as to feel nothing anymore? That's the troll's call, and he doesn't need words. It's just a feeling. In here in the darkness you will be safe. No one can judge you, no one can touch you. You will be strong, cold, indestructible. If you're feeling this way right now, you're not alone. In the next 5 minutes, we're going to enter the cave where the troll lives. Let's find out what he's hiding. And we're going to learn why so many people choose to stay in there forever. But before we continue, tell me, have you ever been drawn to the mountain? Have you ever felt the call of the stone? Leave your comments below, because this will be important for what comes next. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now's the time, because what I'm about to reveal in the next part is something very few people know, and it could completely change how you see your own mind. Let's go. Inside the cave, the realm of the unconscious. The mountain has an entrance. There's always one. It could be a crack in the rock. It could be a cave hidden by moss. It could be a hole that only appears under certain lighting. But when you find her, you know, because something inside you recognizes this is the way home. Not the house where you live, but the house you abandoned a long time ago. The home of the uncivilized self, of the unjudged self, from the me that never needed to apologize for existing. Entering the troll's cave is entering the unconscious, and inside, it's dark. Not the comfortable darkness of sleep, but the heavy, damp, suffocating darkness of the earth. Inside, time does not exist. Scandinavians used to tell stories of people who spent a night with bergsro, and when they returned, 50 years had passed. Others spent months inside the mountain, but for them it was only hours. This is not fantasy. That's exactly what happens when you delve into the unconscious. You lose track of time. You lose your sense of identity. You lose the anchors that tell you who you are in the outside world. And in that place, you find everything you've always been, but never accepted. The troll is guardian of the treasure. In legends, trolls are guardians of buried treasure, gold, precious stones, ancient artifacts. But why does the troll hoard treasure? Because he doesn't know what to do with them. He only knows that they are valuable. They shine, what humans desire, and then he hides them, so that no one can have them. You do that too. Within you lie talents, dreams, passions, and brilliant psychological treasures, but you buried them. He locked them in caves. He let the troll guard them, so that no one, not even you, could touch them. Why? Because shining hurts. Because when something about you shines, people see it. And when they see, they judge, envy, and criticize. So you let the troll keep it. Let the primitive, fearful, isolated part of you protect your gifts, hiding them in the darkness. And years go by, and you live a gray, safe, dull life. But inside, the treasure still shines, and the troll continues to wait. The court of trolls, when loneliness becomes kingdom. He doesn't live alone. According to Scandinavian legends, he has a court, relatives, other lesser trolls, deformed creatures that inhabit the mountain with him, a family of shadows. And here's the psychological twist that few people realize. When you suppress an emotion, you're not just suppressing that emotion. You repress everything that is connected to her. Suppress your anger, and passion goes with it. Suppress sadness, and empathy goes with it. Suppress your fear, and courage will follow. Every repressed emotion turns into a troll, and together, they form a court, an entire kingdom of parts of yourself that you banished into the mountain. And you know what happens? This kingdom begins to rule you from within. Suddenly, you have outbursts of anger that you don't understand, unexplained crying spells, irrational decisions that sabotage everything you've built. Why? Because the troll court is tired of being ignored, and when she acts with tremendous force. The troll woman, seduction and danger. There is an interesting variation in mythology, the female troll. In some stories, she is described as beautiful at first glance, but with a cow's tail hidden beneath her skirts. In others, she lures men into the mountains and they never come out again. The female figure of the troll represents something profound, the seductive aspect of psychological regression, the voice that says, "Go back to the darkness. There you don't need to fight. There, you don't need to grow up. There you can be primitive, instinctive, free, but imprisoned." This has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with the invitation to not grow. How many times have you chosen your comfort zone, knowing it was a prison? How many times have you accepted the cold embrace of the mountain because it was easier than facing the light? The female troll offers security, but it comes at a price. Your soul. Now you know where the troll lives and he knows he's not alone in there. But we still haven't answered the most important question. Why do so many people choose to stay in the mountains? In the next part, I'll reveal the concept that changed my perspective on this legend, and that could change your life. Bergtagen is not a kidnapping, it's a surrender. And in the next 7 minutes you will learn what really happens when you disappear psychologically. Why do some people never return from the mountain? And why do some not want to return? And the ancient technique used by the Vikings to protect the soul, the troll cross. If you're enjoying this deep dive, leave a like now and share it with someone you think is also being swept away by the mountain, because what comes next is where everything changes. Let's go. Carried away by the mountain. What does it mean to be taken? The word bergtagen is composed of two Nordic roots. Berg, captured, mountain, tagen, toite, taken, captured. But the Scandinavians used that word in a very specific way. It wasn't about being dragged by force, it was about being seduced, charmed, invited, and accepting. People in bergtagen were not victims, they were accomplices. They heard the call, they followed, they were going in, and once inside, something about them didn't want to leave. Why? Because inside the mountain, the rules of the outside world no longer exist. There is no trial, there are no expectations. There is no performance. There is only darkness, silence, and total acceptance of everything that you are. For someone who has spent their life being rejected, criticized, molded, this is paradise. The seduction of regression. Carl Jung had a concept called psychological regression. This occurs when the psyche, under extreme pressure, reverts to earlier stages of development. You stop acting like an adult and start acting like a child, or worse, like an instinctive animal. And that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes regression is necessary to heal old traumas, to access blocked creativity, to reconnect with parts of yourself that have been lost. But there is a danger. When regression becomes permanent residence, when you go into the mountain to hide and decide never to come out again. That's bergtagen. The signs that you've been taken. How do I know if I've been to bergtagen? Were you psychologically swept away by the mountain? Here are the signs. Increasing isolation. You cut social ties, avoid interactions, and prefer to be alone. Emotional numbness. You feel less or nothing, as if you've turned to stone inside. Loss of motivation. Old dreams no longer make sense. You don't want anything anymore. Disproportionate aggression. When provoked, you react with excessive force, exactly like a troll. Fear of the light. You avoid self-knowledge, therapy, deep conversations, because you're afraid of what the light will reveal. If you recognize 3 or more of these signs, you're on the mountain, and perhaps it has been for years. The story of Sven Andersson, 1691. There is a fascinating historical record. In 1691 in Sweden, a man named Sven Andersson was brought to trial. Accusation: having sexual relations with a bergsro, a female mountain troll. Sven swore it was true. He described in detail how she seduced him. How did he enter the mountain? He lived with her for months, or was it years? He no longer knew. And when he returned, he was no longer the same. What really happened to Sven? He probably went through a severe dissociative episode. He entered a psychological state where external reality lost its meaning, and the mountain, the unconscious, became more real than the world. He went to bergtagen, and part of it never came back. The troll cross, protection or prison. The Scandinavians knew of the danger, and they created an amulet, the troll cross. It is a symbol of twisted iron, similar to the Othala rune. It was used for protection against the evil magic of trolls. People hung them on their doors. They wore them around their necks. They placed them in barns to protect the animals. But what exactly were they protecting themselves against? Against external monsters? No. Against the call of the mountain. Against the allure of isolation. Against the temptation to turn to stone so as not to feel anything anymore. The troll cross is a reminder. Don't go into the mountain. Don't accept the invitation. Stay in the world of light even if it hurts. But here's the question nobody asks. What if you're already inside the mountain? And if the troll cross isn't enough, why don't you want to leave? Then you need something more radical. Something that is not protection, but transformation. You need the banquet. In the next few minutes, I'm going to take you to the most unsettling and most liberating moment of this journey, the banquet of stone and bones. It's a psychological ritual that few people have the courage to perform, because it requires you to do something that seems impossible. You need to devour the troll. Don't kill him. Don't expel him. Devour it. And when you do that, something changes forever. Are you ready? So hold on tight, because now the mountain will tremble. The banquet of stone and bones, the hunger that nobody talks about. There is a moment in the hero's journey, in all mythology, in every fairy tale, where the protagonist needs to eat something forbidden. Snow White eats the poisoned apple. Persephone eats pomegranate seeds in the underworld. Eve eats the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Why eat? Why always the mouth? Always the act of devouring? Because eating is about integration. Eating is about transforming what's outside into a part of yourself. Eating is accepting, digesting, making one's own. And you cannot integrate your shadow without devouring it. The troll cannot be killed. Here is the truth that legends have always known. You can't kill the troll, because it is made of stone, because he is the mountain, because it is indestructible. Regular weapons don't work. Swords shatter against his skin. Arrows ricochet. And psychologically, that makes perfect sense. You can't kill your anger. You can't destroy your fear. You can't eliminate your primitive instincts. They are a part of you. They are you. Trying to destroy them is trying to destroy a part of your own soul. So what to do? Devour them. The feast. How to eat stone. Imagine, you are inside the cave. The troll is standing before you. Gigantic, terrifying, indestructible. And you know you can't run away. You can't fight. You cannot win by force. Then you do the unthinkable. You invite the troll to a feast, and you serve yourself. You offer the troll everything you've been suppressing. The anger you've swallowed for years. The desire you denied out of shame. The fear you locked away in the basement of your mind. The sadness you never cried. And you say, coma, devour, sucking his hunger. And the troll eats. But while he devours, you devour too. You chew the stone. You swallow the bones. You drink the cold blood of the mountain. And something extraordinary happens. The two of you are starting to fall apart. The troll ceases to be a monster. You stop being a victim. And in that place, something new emerges. Something whole. Something that is both human and wild at the same time. Shadow integration, Carl Jung called this the integration of the shadow. It's not about accepting your flaws. It's not about making peace with the past. It's about devouring the part of yourself that you hate the most and discovering that it has power. When you integrate your anger, it becomes strength. When you integrate your fear, it transforms into wise caution. When you integrate your desire, it becomes creative passion. The troll was not his enemy. He was her guardian, saving his brute strength, hoping you were brave enough to go get it. The dawn in legends, trolls turn to stone when exposed to sunlight. But that's not punishment. It's transformation. When you finally integrate your shadow, when you finally devour the troll, the light can finally enter, and what a monster, turn into sacred rock. It becomes a foundation. It becomes a mountain upon which you build your life. The troll never dies. It transforms itself. And you too. If you've made it this far, You're no longer the same person who started this video, because now you know the troll was never your enemy. The mountain was never a prison, and bergtagen, it was an invitation to transformation. But one thing is still missing. In the epilogue, I will reveal the concrete practice you can do today to begin your own stone feast. A simple, yet powerful psychological ritual. And if you'd like to be notified when I release the next video in this series regarding other Nordic creatures and their psychological significance, activate the notification bell now, because what comes next could change your life. Let's move on to the epilogue. Epilogue. The cross that liberates the troll. Cross ritual. The troll cross was made of iron. Iron, the metal that cuts through illusions, that anchors us in reality. But it wasn't used to ward off the troll. It was used to remind you who you are when the call comes. Here is a modern ritual you can perform. 1. Identify your troll. What part of you is hidden in the mountain? Anger, fear, desire, sadness, give her a name. 2. Draw your troll cross. It can be on paper, on a computer, or tattooed on the skin. The symbol is a reminder. I don't run from my troll. I embrace it. 3. Write a letter to the troll. Tell him, I see you. I recognize your strength. I'm not going to lock you up in the mountains anymore. Come, sit at the table, let's eat together. 4. Practice the feast whenever you feel the urge to suppress a strong emotion. It seems. Sit with her. Devour it consciously. Feel the anger without acting destructively. Feel the fear without being paralyzed. Feel the desire without shame. That's like eating a rock. That's integrating the troll. The end of the legend or the beginning. There is a forgotten version of the legend. They say that once a century a troll manages to cross the dawn without turning to stone, as being devoured by a human brave enough to love him. And when that happens, the troll ceases to be a monster. Humans cease to be fragile, and a new being is born. Half stone, half meat, half shadow, half light. Indestructible, but sensitive. Powerful, but human. This creature has a name in Norse legends. Bergtagen. No more trolling. No longer human. King of the mountain. The final question. And you? Are you going to keep running away from your troll? Or will you invite him to the banquet? Because as long as he's locked up in the mountain, a part of you is here too. And release the troll. It's about setting yourself free. If this video touched you deeply, leave a comment telling us, what's your troll's name? And if you want to explore more Nordic creatures and their psychological significance, sign up now. In some of the upcoming videos, we will talk about Draugr, the undead who never rested, about unprocessed trauma. Valkyrie, the chooser of the dead, about decisions that kill past versions of yourself. Fenrir, the chained wolf, about repressed anger and the price of containing it. Norse mythology is not fantasy. It's a map of the human psyche. And now, you have the key. May the mountain bless you, and may the troll finally rest.